What is wrong with you?
What?
I meant, what's wrong with me?
Old age.
Should go get tested.
I'll try harder next time. Man.
You ever do that? Just try to pee as hard as you can.
No.
Me neither.
I try to pee as long as I can. Getting to that age where it's like spurt, stop, spurt, stop, spurt, stop.
Bumping
Eric
out
knows
some
what-
Morse code.
Eric knows what I'm talking about.
I'm older than
Actually,
you.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Liar.
Cards. Crypto.
So I edited my first episode of a podcast and realized that I should not be on a podcast.
No one should be.
Actually,
You need to say don't talk about it here, man. Talk about it. Save the material.
All right. Dude, I like that Batman in the background. That's cool.
My background.
Yeah. Who else's background is gonna have a Batman? It's like right next to your ear.
Eric, did you get my video about the origin of the name Gotham?
Yeah, that's stupid.
That's been
Thanks.
debunked so many times.
What?
I don't
No,
really know that.
it hasn't at all. It's the real origin of the name.
I was just making shit up. That's what I do.
I know. That's my expertise. You back off.
Oh,
That's your expertise. Is noises in the microphone.
It's because I hacked my microphone in my desk. I drilled a little hole and it's like
You added rust.
no.
Yeah, I'm not happy with where my mic is either, to be honest.
It's better than where mine's at. Jeez.
All right, let's do it too. Let's start recording. Come on.
Oh, do I have to open Audacity?
Yeah.
Oh, we're already broadcasting.
Well, let's start recording then.
Why are we broadcasting? What the hell happened?
How'd that happen? I didn't do it.
Oh wait, we're not supposed to be recording yet.
Yeah, I don't even have my recording up yet, man.
Why'd you put us live already?
I swear to God, I did not. I have no idea where that came from.
I'm glad you noticed before I did something stupid.
I just went to.
Would hate to miss it.
I went to pull up the stream on my laptop so that I could get the chat, and like it says we're already live. Hey, that's me. All right,
You're
recording.
supposed to say, who's that good-looking dude? Oh, that's me. All right.
All right, start recording. 3, 2, 1. Clap check. And 3, 2, 1. Wow, that's super live today.
We're the livest.
I like the stemless glass there. That's how I roll.
Yeah, baby. That's right.
All right.
I don't need no stinking stem.
Tweet this thing out. Let's go.
Already did.
What?
Already tweeted it out. Already did the intro. All we got to do is a show now.
You're high again.
All right.
How did... Oh, I hate that dash. It says you did it -2 minutes ago, but it's a stupid dash in their system. It's
I
dumb.
don't know what you're talking about.
Don't worry, it's dumb.
Okay. We ready to go?
Nope.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. Thomas, are you ready? All right, we're going to pretend you're ready now. I listen to a lot of podcasts and I watch a lot of YouTube videos, probably more than I should. And one thing I really have gotten an appreciation for is how global the people who are listening are. And I've seen it with our show. So a lot of times their sayings are verbs, not verbs. They're sayings that I'm never sure if they're global sayings. And this is actually one of them. The term to 86 something is a very is a common term. Well, so that's the thing. The origin of to 86 something, again, it's a term used here in the US. I don't know if it's a global term, but in just it means to get rid of something, right? 86 it, get rid of it, remove it. However, when I was looking up the origin, because you know how I like to do my little show things, and I've already kind of given away the spoiler here. It's 86. But when looking, I'm like, this is going to be easy. Where did the term 86 come from? To 86 something? How did that become something? And it turns out the origin of that saying isn't really clear. The one that people kind of most agree on is that it actually came from the restaurant industry years ago, like in the 30s. However, to 86 something in the restaurant lingo didn't mean to throw it away. It just meant they were out of something. So they would 86 the bacon because they had no bacon.
How do you run out of bacon?
You know, it's a horrible, horrible thing. There are other potential origin stories of the word 86. The one I like the most centers around the U.S. Navy, specifically the U.S. Navy's allowance type. And what these guys did is they coded everything they did. And the code AT6 meant to remove something or dispose of it. So that became 86, AT6, 86. I like that one. But the more creative one was, and I find this probably the furthest fetched explanation. Apparently, up until about the 1980s, whiskey used to come in two proofs. It came in 100 proof and 86 proof. And the legend has it is if you were in a bar and you're drinking whiskey and you were getting drunk, the bartender would tell the other bartenders to 86 that person, which meant don't give them the 100 proof whiskey anymore. Give them the 86 proof whiskey.
So charge them for the 100 proof.
Exactly. So this is episode 86 of PHP Ugly, the wildfire episode. Hello, gentlemen.
It's the wildfires are scary in San Diego, aren't they?
Is this your first? Is this your first wildfire, John?
No, I went through it in Florida. I forget what year it was.
This is your first out here.
Yeah, first out here.
Yeah. They're apps. I'm not gonna lie to you. So if you're listening to the show, John and I are in Southern California, the San Diego County area, and we are getting hit with wildfires.
The whole place is literally on fire.
Wildfires in Southern California are not extremely uncommon, but they do get out of hand. And the one that's going on right now is out of hand. I've lived through a couple of them here.
And they're kind of uncommon for December.
No. They're actually very common because what's happening right now is that San Diego goes through these very long dry spells where it doesn't get any rain and everything dries up and starts to die off. Then we get into the winter months and we get these Santa Ana winds and that start blowing everything around, and next thing you know, one fire sparks. And the thing about it is it's so unpredictable, and these things, they will jump freeways. I mean, these little wildfires will absolutely jump 8-lane, 10-lane freeways from one side to the other. They're very tough to predict where they're going to go and how fast they're going to get there.
I think we talked about it on the last episode. The 2007 fires, part of it was caused by SDG&E, the electric company.
We did.
Their lines being blown down and causing the fire. So in Southern California, the winds often blow from the west. They blow from the ocean onto the land. The Santa Ana winds are just going the opposite direction. They're coming from the east.
Yeah.
For those people not in California.
It's just craziness. I mean, it's the house we live in was involved. The actual house didn't get burned down, but this neighborhood, several of the homes in the neighborhood where I live in, got burned down in one of the wildfires about 10 years ago. I wasn't living in this house. No, it had been longer than 10 years because I've been here. But before we moved to this house, this neighborhood got hit pretty hard with the wildfire time back. So it gets terrifying, and it's hard to come up with these evacuation plans because you're never quite sure what routes you're going to have available to you.
Yeah.
One year we had evacuated south to a town called El Cajon, and then like the next day they were fighting wildfires. So it gets tough, and resources get worn pretty thin, and then not to mention you get the kooks out there who start to take advantage of it. These firebugs who all the firemen are busy and everything this seems to be a natural progression, and just making things worse.
But I moved out to Colorado this year, so it's not as big a problem.
We should be safe. We're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there were major fires like 20 years ago in Florida, and I remember driving down the road and seeing the fires on the side of the road on my way home, just a couple miles from my house. Definitely scary.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's a balmy 15 degrees here. So, nice and chilly.
Good. Glad you're happy. I'm glad you're nice and cozy.
Extraordinarily happy.
How can you be happy in 15-degree weather? That's ridiculous.
It is so much fun.
Describe fun.
Your nose starts to hurt first.
Yeah, that's fun.
And everyone, if you go somewhere, everyone's running from the parking lot into wherever you're going. No one's trying to be leisurely. They don't even bother.
That's what we did in Florida because of the heat.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
No, not at all.
It's the coldest I've ever been.
Okay, this is an exciting conversation, but I do have some PHP ugly news.
You know what else is on fire? Bitcoin. I'm trying to take it early.
That was a weird transition. Eric,
where are we
let me
going
know
with
your
this?
PHP ugly news.
Well, I'm pretty sure I was leading into a story there. I could have been wrong. I don't know.
Wasn't a very good story, I guess.
We moved our hosting over to Simplecast, which is nice because we have one spot where we upload the MP3s. It distributes to all the streams for iTunes and Google and whoever else might be doing, and it hosts like this makeshift website, which has always been good, kind of cool. The problem with it is when we first launched PHP Ugly, we were hosting the site ourselves, and we had, being good people of the internet, put HTTPS on the URL and basically made that the default URL. Like I think we even had a redirect that made people go to HTTPS. But when we moved to Simplecast, we couldn't do that. We couldn't do that because it was Simplecast and they didn't have certificates for custom domains. And ever since then, we've been getting.
They do if you host on their domain, but not custom domains.
Right.
Silly. Yeah.
And we've been getting tweets from concerned listeners saying, "Hey, your HTTPS is broken." We're like, "Yeah, we know it's not there anymore," and we just kind of try to inform people that of the situation. And John got one today, and I guess took the initiative to look into it and says, "Hey, how can we do this?" And I actually came up with a pretty simple solution.
Well, before you get into that,
Cloudflare.
before you get it, well, you've already spoiled it, but
sorry.
Thank you to friend of the show, Chris Cornett, for pointing it out to me that it was an issue. Chris Cornett is huge into security, and I remember giving my security talk at PHP Tech a few years ago, and he sat in and listened to it, and
that must have been embarrassing.
Actually,
just ripped you apart afterwards.
No. The only thing he tore me apart over, which I was embarrassed by, of course, was in my example code. I used the request super global, instead of get or post.
Oh.
So
minor.
And it's
I
like-
mean, it was an
it's like-
example.
it was example code, and unfortunately, I work in a lot of legacy code, so I see the request super global way more than I should. So he pointed it out, and I was like, you're right. And I was embarrassed. But anyway, I was super grateful that he took the time to listen to me talk and give me some feedback. And now that he gave me feedback on this and to kind of steer the ship to make sure that we got this addressed was very nice. So thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
And speaking of security,
Eric, take it away. You're not.
oh
Eric.
right, you got to go. No, you're going back to Cloudflare.
Yeah, so John had found an article around Cloudflare and how to configure Cloudflare. So the short of it is phpugly.com now has HTTPS associated to it. The long of it is Cloudflare is a pretty badass service, man. I hear a lot of people talk about it, and I understand what they do. I've never used them. I never thought that I had a real need to use them. I'm reconsidering that. Just based on this one implementation that we used with PHP Ugly, how easy it was to get set up, and it auto-generated the SSL cert. Like I literally did nothing. It scraped my DNS. It created DNS records for all the DNS records I had already had. And said, okay, now go change your name server to point to Cloudflare. I changed my name server to point to the Cloudflare DNS, and then it, without me doing anything, generated SSL certs and proxied all the requests through them, and it's pretty slick. So it's a pretty slick service.
And for the most part, it's free. I forget at what point you have to start paying, but we don't have enough traffic to worry about
Yeah,
it.
we'll never be big enough for that, so we don't have to worry.
Yeah. So Cloudflare, it's one of these services I kept hearing about, and I'm like, oh yeah, I understand why people would use that. I just never thought, and I always thought of it as, you did it for the caching piece. But I'm like, I don't have a read or a need or an implementation that requires it. And lo and behold, I used it, and I'm like, this is worth just doing. Really,
And,
I don't know.
And when I brought it up, I was personally thinking of AWS CloudFront because I use that on one of the clients that I work on, and wasn't really thinking of the differences. So then I started researching and found a great article about why Cloudflare beats CloudFront, and of course, pricing being one of the big ones. CloudFront gives you a lot more customization, but Cloudflare with its free tier and what it does give you is amazing. So I wish I could say this episode was hosted by Cloudflare. Maybe we need to reach out to them and say, hey, you should sponsor us. Unfortunately, it's not right now.
Pay for a much better editor.
You do a good job, man.
I was going to say, what are you talking about? Although I learned a new trick this week editing the PHP podcast.
What?
The PHP.
You edited a
PHP
podcast?
Yeah, the PHP Architect PHP podcast. I edited the first one this past week. Learned a new trick, so Thomas, we may need to talk. You might find it useful.
What's your trick?
What is this trick? We can talk
So
now. That's what we do.
Actually, I don't think you do much cutting. You don't cut into things, right?
I do a little.
With PHP podcasts, we insert interviews in the middle of Eric and I's talking, advertisements. We do other segments within what we're talking about.
Fart noises.
Yeah, no, cutting out is easy. Inserting is the other thing. So being able to take my stream, for example, or all of our streams and actually cut it and split it. I knew there had to be a way. And Eric tried telling me his workflow, which I was like, that doesn't seem like it works very well. So
It's horrible.
Yeah, you make a selection, you can cut it, and then you literally can slide away and make
Control
it work.
Shift I.
Yep, that's it. Actually, and it's different on Mac, but
Oh, I know all the tricks.
all the tricks.
Oh no, that trick, that one trick.
Okay. I want to know more tricks. See,
I
I used to edit the uh podcast called Talk Bowling on talkbowling.com, but it was a video podcast and way different than editing audio. Not way different, just different. But I had a lot of the same tools, and I was using a different editor. I was using Final Cut Pro at the time, so it was a lot easier for me to do that same type of thing, cut pieces out, split.
Final Cut's
And
amazing.
I told Eric, I'm like, this sucks using Audacity.
It's terrible.
I'm gonna purchase Final Cut Pro just to do audio editing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And
Going back-
John managed to get the whole thing edited and released in timely manner. So the November podcast came out in early December.
that was not my fault. I want
Gotta
to
please
say,
the sponsors.
I do want to say, not my fault. We couldn't even talk about the fact that PHP Architects was able to give away the magazine for free that month because we were a month late. Again, not our fault, but the episode was a month late. Wait, did I say it wasn't our fault yet?
The PHP Architect podcast is proven to be fairly challenging to record, and a lot of it centers around trying to arrange the interviews because we don't know who's going to be in the issue beforehand.
We don't get the issue till if we're lucky, a day or two before it actually comes out.
Yeah. And so the editor, Oscar, lets us, gives us the ideas, says, hey, such and such has an article about this. Why don't we try to arrange an interview with them? And we're talking, again, of global scale. So the interview we'll be doing in December, the individuals in Europe. And, John and I are having to arrange our schedules so that the time zones line up so that we can do the interview. But it's just been like the people are traveling or speaking or are all over the globe. And, I'm not in town this week. How about next week? And next week turns into the following week. And
then they're not available. So then we switch interviews or interviewees. Yeah. So it is a pain.
It really is, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it. It's a little. John and I have been working through the format, and it still sounds like it's scripted, although it really isn't. We've jotted down the way it works is John and I will read the magazine and jot down notes, and then have a conversation and try to make sure we hit on any notes that we might have written down on all the articles. It still comes off, at least from my perspective, still comes off as scripted.
Not as bad as the first few did, but doesn't flow. It doesn't flow like this show does. But this show is just us bullshitting. We're just chatting.
Yeah, right.
You would not want it to flow like this show. This is
kind of do actually
podcasts.
Yeah, we kind of do.
You need a third man.
Well, we need to just not read the article and just give our opinions on what we think the article's about. Because that's kind of what this show is.
PHP Architect, just the headlines.
That would shorten it up quite a bit.
Have you guys been following the PHP Security Advent Calendar?
I have. Pretty cool.
I disagree.
You disagree? Why?
Well, okay, so they've got a lot of examples here. We're on day 7 as of this recording, and the thing about it is, you just look for where they allow user input.
I mean, everybody wants shit to be so complicated, and sometimes it's the simple security things that are missed. This is meant for everybody to look at and kind of appreciate. It doesn't have to be these complex, there's a vulnerability in PHP 5.4 that would cause this to do a dump. Nobody
Which is
cares.
literally what the second one is about. This vulnerability exists in 5.3, but is a more advanced version in 7.2.
Really? Did it really do the twig one?
I'm sorry, that's number 3. Snowflake is all about 5.3,
Snowflake.
letting you delete
I
exceed
like
password.
I mean, they are pretty obvious once you start to understand the pattern. Like you said, 9 times out of 10, it's wherever input's accepted.
Yeah,
But
which is why I don't allow user input.
I think
Anyway.
You can't not allow user input.
You totally can.
you
cannot.
What are you talking about?
Stop it.
It's just you just create kiosk applications. It's just a kiosk.
Yeah, it says
That
select,
is user input.
select a
What are you
username
talking
from
about?
these 5 usernames we've chosen.
That's still user input actually.
Select
We're
your
gonna-
email. Select your email address from this drop down.
Your password is one of these 3. Choose it.
Exactly.
We're gonna send the
But that's still
confirmation
user
code
input.
to this email.
It's
That's
still
what I'm
user
saying.
input.
Even if you're
No, it's not,
selecting,
because
it's
actually
still
I end
user
up
input.
throwing away the user input and using a randomly generated string and emailing it to them.
You're so full of shit. This is why we can't be friends. I'm telling you right now. You are
Well,
just so full of shit constantly.
I like number 7 because it's not even user input, it's browser input, where they're parsing the HTTP referrer from the browser.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
But they have a point. That's easy to spoof.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's just don't accept user input, and if you do, sanitize it. Sanitize the crap out of it.
If you're listening to this
different
show,
than not accepting it.
don't listen to Thomas, okay? You have to accept user input at some point.
The only user input my website accepts is email address and password.
I don't want to know what your website accepts as input, okay? Really, I don't.
Actually, it does have more than that now.
Oh, man. All right, we knew it was coming. We talked about it on a previous show, and it has officially hit the web sphere.
The fan.
The Chrome 63 is now enforcing .dev domains to go to HTTPS. Why is this important, do you ask? What is a .dev domain, and do I care if it goes to HTTPS? Well, chances are maybe not, but if you're a PHP developer...
Chances are maybe not.
Is there an echo in here? Chances
What is
are
that?
maybe not. Unless you're a PHP developer, specifically if you're a Laravel developer who might use Valet.
Specifically, an Apple workstation Laravel developer using Valet through Brew, and it's an old version that doesn't use the new.
Okay, half the stuff you said is incorrect and not true. So let me try to state the facts a little better. If you
That's
use
your
Valet,
job. My job is lying. Your job is truth.
The default domain is a .dev domain. A lot of developers will use .dev domains when they're doing a local development. So now, if you use a .dev domain and you try to use Chrome, it's going to redirect you to HTTPS. There's a couple of solutions you can implement. You can add certs to your .dev URLs locally. I don't know why you would do that. I think Valet has a way of doing that fairly easily. I've never used it. Don't really see a reason behind it, but that's an option. Personally, what I do is I just changed my domain, which again, you can do in Valet. You just say Valet domain and give it a new domain. I go with DDev for, wait for it, Diego Dev.
Or you can just say accept the friggin' cert and not care. I don't care.
I don't think you
Can you do that? I don't think you can do that
I
anymore.
don't think you can,
I think
Tom.
it requires a valid cert now.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Stop it.
That was the big confrontation, because that's what I initially said. Who cares? Just hit I don't care on the button when it asks you, but it forces security.
What?
And
This was actually the problem. Going back
because they
to our
own the
piece-
dev TLD.
No. Going back to our PHP Ugly issue, the problem with this certificate with PHP Ugly is Simplecast had a certificate. It wasn't a phpugly.com certificate. It was a simplecast.com certificate or simplecast.fm certificate, but it didn't matter. you didn't have an option to accept the certificate. It just flat out wouldn't let you go to HTTPS www.phpangler.com.
The new version did it because I was able to do that in Chrome.
I wasn't. Matter of fact, I showed that to you.
When?
I don't know. A while
did
back.
Not. Stop it.
I totally did.
So if you run Valet, then you have to change it. We recommend .ddev.
That's
Get
what
the
we
name out there.
recommend.
Little free advertising. 20 years in the future, there'll be a podcast where someone says, "Yeah, why is it .ddev now? No one knows."
Where did that come from? .ddev.
Yeah,
It's a good thing.
It'd be a great intro for a podcast. The story of how .ddev became a standard.
That's right.
So on somebody's episodes 17, in 2017, we changed from .dev to .ddev.
Exactly.
The origins are still somewhat of a mystery, but rumor has it, legend is.
To be fair, it'll still be Eric doing that. He'll just have forgotten by then.
He'll have some new podcast episode 17.
It won't even be a podcast. He'll just be in a rocking chair saying that to himself.
No. We will do that on episode 2017. We're gonna come back to now.
Oh, jeez.
And that'll be the intro. So, in what, like 6 weeks?
No. We're on. We said it already. We're on episode. Yeah, totally.
Nobody laughed at it? I said 2017, not 17.
He did, actually, if you think about it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Killing me, Smalls.
Done. I'm going to bed.
Hold on, we've got Symfony news though. Oh, and Cloudflare.
I had a good lead into this. Yeah, we talked about Cloudflare earlier, and Thomas, this was a story you brought up back with the hate speech that was going on the internet, and how the Cloudflare CEO realized that he could shut down a bunch of these websites. And
any website. Yeah, he realized the power that he wielded was far too great. I mean, he's a really cool guy. And if you listen to interviews with him, he says basically, I'm going to do this until someone tells me I'm not allowed to, because somebody has to take this power away from me.
And it turns out he's now doing that. I mean,
no one told him to stop.
Basically, he said that he doesn't want the responsibility. Not that he doesn't want it, that nobody should have that ability. And so apparently, despite the fact that he has that ability, and it's a super powerful ability, he's putting a plan in place to remove him from being able to do that. And there's an article on Ars Technica that kind of goes through this. I thought it was a good read. It's a real interesting kind of conversations around morals and ethics in our industry, and I really applaud this guy for his high standards on both morals and ethics.
Should be a senator.
This is clearly something that can be abused. The issue, I think, that will more likely come out of this is somebody else will find a way to wield that power. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but I applaud what's his name, Matthew Prince. Awesome name. Guy's last name is Prince. I mean, just drop the first name. Just call yourself Prince. I think that's a fantastic name. But Matthew Prince.
No, you can't be Prince. You got to be a symbol.
No, it's not taken anymore. He can use it now.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll have the article posted in the show notes. But yeah, check out Cloudflare's. It's called Cloudflare CEO has a plan to never censor hate speech again. So check it out. Okay, Thomas, I've been stealing all the cards. I'll let you loose. Go for it, brother.
Well, you know what that means.
I can imagine.
It's time for cryptocurrency corner.
Yeah, and I was just reading one.
Kitty cat with the mustache.
I was just reading one of his articles, and I'm terrified. But anyway, go ahead.
It's been a nightmare week. I mean, it's been really amazing. In November 11th, I bought $40 worth of Bitcoin because that was as much as I could sneak out of my bank account without anyone starting to yell at me.
Holy shit! It's at 16,388 right now.
Yeah, so that $40 that I got
Insane.
less than a month ago is now worth over $100.
I really need to find my Bitcoin vault.
Yes, you do. And
it topped out at 18.4 earlier today.
Right now, if you trade it against Korean money and then convert the Korean money to US dollars, it's trading out at 22,000. So if you go through Korean exchange markets, you can really maximize your profit there. Yeah, it's completely crazy, and this is an increase of 100% in 1 month, more than 100%.
So
121%.
Instead of putting in $40,000, if you had bought one whole Bitcoin at $10K, whatever it was a month ago, you would have doubled your money.
Yes.
You would be sitting on $20,000 in
a month ago.
No,
a month ago,
that's not how that works.
Less than 7K.
It does. You're right. I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
You're right.
And that there have been a lot of reflexive actions because of this. There are a lot of people who invested personal savings, in the area of a couple $1,000s, and when it was going up 1% or 2% a day, that was good, but they weren't writing home about it. But then in the last week, it started to go up in amazing bursts. December 3rd, it was at 11,000, and then 5 days later, it's at 17,000. I mean, incredible growth.
We talked about this last week. It's got to have a ceiling. And what's so crazy, and what I think is even fueling this more, is you have mainstream TV shows talking about it now. Like we're Mr. Robot fans, and that's one of the story plots in Mr. Robot is cryptocurrency. So that's not new to us, but they had an episode of cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. I think it was last week on Big Bang.
Yeah, I saw that one. It was really great.
Was hysterical, right? It's like this stuff is hitting mainstream media. It's like TV shows are picking it up. There was another show I watched that was talking about buying something with Bitcoin. I'm like, holy smokes! And the thing about it is, this is opening the eyes of the non-tech crowd. I'm like, oh, what's Bitcoin? Oh, I want to buy some of this now.
Well, that's the thing, is that people who have dumped savings into it, let's say a year ago, just saw whatever they've dumped into it get a 2,000% increase in value. Most of that in the last 3 months. Most of that in the last 1 month. And so people are on social media sites saying, I cashed out and paid off my house. I cashed out, paid off every debt, every loan. I cashed out and I am free and clear. And that's why it's getting so much attention, is because people are saying, hey, guess what? I invested $2,000 a year ago, and then today paid off every debt, including my house, car, and kids' college. And so it's getting a lot of traction in the public eye right now. But that isn't great.
Okay.
I was checking my email yesterday on my phone. The only place where my email actually has ads on it is on all my browsers, right? No ads. And it was just a link that said, convert your IRA or 401k to a Bitcoin IRA.
That's the card I was talking about. I was reading that and was terrified.
I panicked.
Really?
Like, sitting there, went, what the fuck? No, No, no.
Don't do that.
And I immediately got on Facebook and started tweeting out, putting out a message to everyone on Facebook, like, listen, this is a thing that they're advertising. Don't do this, for God's sake. This is not what Bitcoin is for. You do not put your IRA or 401k into Bitcoin, for Christ's sake. Like,
no.
It could be zero tomorrow. It's done it before.
Back when I first started putting money into Bitcoin, it was on the rise. It was a few $100s. It went up to 1,100, and like a few weeks later, it was at 200. But the majority of the money I put into it at that time was at the, $900, $1,000, $1,100 range. Granted, today I held on to it and I'm happy today, but there's no telling what's going to happen down a few years down the road.
But it gets even.
I don't even think it'll be a few
worse.
years. This thing's going to crash here. It's got to go through another crash. I mean, that's just the.
It goes way worse than that, though. If you go to the website, the first form that you see where they're like, hey, calculate your income, it's auto-filled with, I would like to invest $250,000 in, and then a drop-down where you choose Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, which is a guaranteed tank, Ethereum Classic, which is already tanked, or all. A nice broad portfolio.
Who doesn't want to put $250K of their IRA into Bitcoin?
How soon?
I tell you what,
immediately.
I just dropped a house worth of cash into Ethereum Classic, and I'm super excited. It can only go up or down. Those are the only directions it can go. This is to
be
insane.
To be fair, that's the only two directions your IRA can go as well.
This is true.
Right, but your IRA is a managed account. 401ks are managed accounts. If a company that you've invested in, does something like Ericsson did in Japan, where the company suddenly doesn't exist, like they get taken off the stock market, trading is halted. There's
some regulations around it.
There are market guarantees that prevent the cash from just vanishing. Bitcoin, no. This week, somebody stole $60 million from NiceHash in 3 minutes. Don't. For God's sake. And why would you use this service? Why would you use a service to invest your money into Bitcoin when it's just a wallet?
That's what I want to know.
That's like paying a bank to store your money and then finding out that all your money is under a series of mattresses.
They have an ebook about the ultimate guide. Learn about the benefits of Bitcoin in your IRA.
If you're ever investing in something and they offer you a free ebook, that's a real big hint to get the fuck out as fast as possible.
Is that a red flag?
Oh, yeah. Free ebook? You don't have to say free when you say ebook. You just say
we learned today. There is a level above red. So in San Diego, they went from the red fire danger to purple. So it's a purple warning.
Blue balls.
Which is apparently a thing.
This is not what you want to invest your IRA in. You want to invest a little. You want to invest your spare income that you don't care if you lose it.
Expendable income only. And they've got the weirdest website because they imply that somehow they are certified by Google, certified by Forbes, when in reality, like, Forbes did an article about this and they're like, holy shit, can you believe someone did this? But the quote from them is CNBC, more and more savers are taking a chance and investing in something called a Bitcoin IRA. More and more people are becoming insane.
Where are they getting their money from? That's what I want to know. Are they taking a percentage of the transfer?
That's question number 2. Is it just a Ponzi scheme? Because
yes.
What country is this in? You dump $250,000 into their account. Oh, it's so terrifying. And then there's a point where they start bragging about how many customers they have. They have 170. Like 170
Woohoo.
customers.
Woohoo.
Yeah. They have 3 5-star ratings from their customers, and they hold a total of $50 million from their customers. It's like if your
That's
IRA,
scary.
your IRA
so
is
Thomas,
holding
I'm
$50 million total.
Trying to sum this up. So you're for or against this approach?
He's
Not being
completely
real
for
clear.
it. Completely for
Yeah,
it.
no,
He
it's
loves it.
surprisingly easy actually to invest in this. There's a simple rollover system. You point your investment account at their investment account, and then it just starts to divest automatically. I found it incredibly simple. I made 1,000 in.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You transfer your funds, you buy bitcoins, and you're good to
Amazingly
go.
enough, you don't transfer your funds. The part of this that makes it an
It says
IRA.
right here. Step 2: transfer your IRA or 401k funds. On their How It Works page, that's what you do.
If you go through the sign up process, they have information on how to go to each type of paycheck management system that manages IRAs and transfer it from there. They have instructions for all of the systems that people commonly use. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Don't do it. Next.
Pretty
Well,
simple.
because of the inherent volatility of cryptocurrency, Steam has actually stopped accepting Bitcoin. Transaction fees are
alarming.
too high, and the
What?
volatility is too high.
How is the transaction fee too high?
How is that even a thing?
Steam operates on very thin margins.
But
It's
it still
probably
can't
lower
be
than
any
credit card.
higher than the other transaction fee they're paying for any other processor.
Oh, absolutely. When
Absolutely
they work with Visa, they process enough transactions that when they work with Visa, they can get a custom deal.
You don't know that, Thomas?
I absolutely do. I've done it. I did it for a living for a while. Rate negotiations are part of the thing you do when customers sign up for credit card acceptance.
Okay.
I did it for a living.
Okay. I'm not going to challenge you on this one. I'm just saying you don't know what Steam has negotiated. The transaction fees on Bitcoin are pretty damn low. I can't imagine they negotiated anything lower than a Bitcoin transaction fee.
Remember that they want fast transactions, so they're paying top value for transaction fees.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the fees are higher. It just means it takes longer to get them to guarantee they're going to get their money.
Well,
which is probably more of a problem.
If you start looking at Ethereum, things are getting a little weird and wonky. So Ethereum uses a system called Gas for calculating transaction fees. And a company introduced something called CryptoKitties.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ethereum network's capacity for processing transactions went from hovering at around 16% to 100% capacity in basically 2 days. Now, do you guys follow the CryptoKitties stuff?
Barely. I've heard of it. I understand kind of what it is, but don't understand why people are doing it. But then again, I didn't understand Pokemon, so I'm old.
I'm not following any of it. So
MTG, I get Magic the Gathering all day long, but Pokemon, I don't get.
This goes even further than that because people are basically stocked up on Ethereum for saving money or for watching it go up in value and whatever. And CryptoKitties is just a place where you can spend Ethereum, and then you can sell your CryptoKitty that you breed, or what have you. Or you can stud your CryptoKitty.
Wait. The CryptoKitty is a thing. It's like a virtual thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a virtual cat that has traits like mustache type, eye color, background color, tail fluffiness, fur color.
There's a limited number of them.
There's an unlimited number, but there's a limited number of traits. And what people are trying to do is establish that a specific trait has value arbitrarily, and then try to sell their cat for stud to try and breed that value into a newly generated CryptoKitty that
What
will
the hell
sell
are we
for.
talking about?
It's
CryptoKitties.
literally a digital scarcity economy. I've got a fantastic article about digital scarcity and that it's the new thing. Is it Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these cryptocurrencies? They operate off of the fact that they are scarce, that there's a limited number, and that mining them is required to produce more of them, and their value is set by that limited factor. This just throws a random set of numbers into that equation and produces a completely artificial scarcity that people have attached themselves to.
What are we becoming as a society, really? I mean,
How much do you think?
What are
How
we
much do you
doing?
think the most expensive CryptoKitty is?
You know what? I don't care on any level at all. I really have no desire to even know this information.
Somebody paid
$7
$26,000.
I'm off by a factor of 10.
All right, we're going to go down this road. This is a conversation I had to have with my children years ago when they were very young, and they got hooked on this Club Penguin, and they were constantly coming to me asking me for money because they wanted to buy their penguin a hat or they wanted to buy their penguin a scarf.
Yes.
And I'm like, no. First thing, it's not real. You're not getting anything. You're literally just giving somebody money. You have nothing to show for it. Well, all my friends are getting their penguin sunglasses. I'm like, no, that's not. There are no sunglasses. It's nothing. There's nothing there. You still interact with all the penguins the same way. It's like I can't understand this. I don't understand this.
I had that conversation about Club Penguin, and I had to explain to my kids that paying for something that has no scarcity is the dumbest thing you can do, and you're literally paying somebody to tell them that you're dumb. Here, have this $1 and listen to my story about how dumb I am. I bought a hat for a penguin.
You laugh, John. You're going to have it the worst, man. I'm telling you.
Well, this is what I find interesting. So 2 months ago, I very smartly purchased Ether cards. We talked about this in the podcast.
Oh, we remember, yeah.
The purpose of these was to give my kids $20-ish in Ethereum for Christmas. To which you guys said, what the hell are your kids going to want to spend $20 in Ethereum on? They're just going to say great and throw it away.
A mustache for my cat.
Oddly enough, CryptoKitties just showed up. They are purchased through straight Ethereum, and it teaches the concepts of investment, value, and scarcity that I was hoping to teach my children. So now I don't have to be involved in the teaching part. I'll just tell them, hey, you can spend it on CryptoKitties. And they're going to be like, what? And be like, screw off. I'm busy. Go look it up on Google.
So I'm surprised you don't have a card in here about the fact that that Bitcoin mining is costing or using more
destroying
electricity
the planet.
than entire countries.
It's not hard to use more energy than entire countries. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. But if you just pick the lowest countries, then you're mining more than them by having a house.
Denmark seems like a pretty big country to me.
Have you been there?
I have not.
So you have no point of reference then. See? You're just talking out your ass now, and that's my job.
Okay, start talking out your ass then. I want to hear it.
Talk about my ass?
No, not about your ass. About Bitcoin using more electricity than countries like Denmark.
Well, whatever. We switched over to LED light bulbs instead of incandescent. We've made up the difference. Have we not? I'm heating my house half through making profit.
I actually had a thought today, and I meant to bring it up with Eric while we were sitting there at co-working this morning. So we'll have to talk after this.
That look on your face was.
We'll have to talk. Remind me after we're done being live on the air to bring this up. I'm sure some of us have had this thought, but it's interesting.
our listening audience loves to hear that. Hey, I want to talk to you something when the show ends.
Exactly. They love hearing. They want to know what are they talking about.
It's
All
okay.
right.
I always cut it from the show.
I'm
No,
going
you're
to
not.
move on.
You gotta leave that in.
I'm moving
Just leave
on.
it in.
Can I move on?
Of course.
As long as it's not about Amazon.
It's about Amazon.
God damn it!
Foiled again.
I've always thought that Amazon has been a poor tenant of the Android ecosystem. And this harpens back to the first Kindle, first Android-powered Kindle that I purchased. I'm like, the Kindles, Amazon Kindles are so damn cheap. I mean, they're fairly underpowered, but they're so cheap. And as far as having an Android device, I'm like, this is cool. This is a good compromise. It's cheap, but it's sturdy. It's a good product. All that. And then you come to find out that Amazon doesn't allow like the Google App Store or any Google products on the Kindle. No App Store, no Hangouts, no Docs, no Google Movies, nothing. Amazon has their own app store and their own reader, and you're kind of now if you're a tech junkie like we are, you learn how to what's called sideload this stuff, which is it's not an easy process, but it's a process I went through on one of the Kindles just to see if I could do it. But it's a pain in the ass. And I've always kind of been bitter towards Amazon for that. It's like, if you're going to use the Android platform, then let the Android platform be the Android platform and stop trying to lock people out of other markets. Well, it seems like Google, who has, to Google's defense, has always allowed Amazon Prime on the Android platform, the Amazon Kindle on the Android platform. All the Amazon products have always been free to run on the Android platform. Well, it sounds like Google now is taking exception to Amazon's kind of marketing tactics, and they are now positioning to remove YouTube from all the Amazon products. You're talking Kindle, we're talking the Fire,
Nope.
everything.
2 products.
Ooh.
The
2?
Fire TV, and the Echo Show.
I thought it was off the Kindle as well. It's not the Kindle as well?
Just those 2 devices.
Oh, so just maybe I wonder if it's on the Kindle now that I say that. It must be on the Kindle. It's got to be on the Kindle.
I don't think it's on the Kindle.
Really?
There's no refresh rate for it.
So, all right. So the Amazon Fire TV, which is like the Chromecast. Yeah, it's like the Android TV, not the Chromecast. It's like the Android TV.
Right.
And then the Echo Show, which is the Echo with the display.
The super fancy big screen one.
So, what do you guys think about that? Do you agree with it? Disagree with it? I mean, is there a reason behind it?
Crazy for a company that claims to be so open and positive towards customers, using Amazon's customers against them in this way by identifying Amazon devices and then blocking them from what is an open fucking platform. Let's be clear. This is an open platform. Google is going out of their way to be anti-consumer for the sake of profit, and it's fucked up in every possible way. We're not making enough money. We're not making enough money is not a reason to remove content from a device that's licensed to customers like this. It's outright bullshit.
So I want to hear the difference when it comes to. Let me back up. I found it very interesting recently. I bought an Android Wear watch. And the fact that I can use my Android Wear watch on my Android device and on an iPhone, whereas I cannot use an Apple Watch on an Android device, as far as I know. I don't have one, so I can't speak. But
yeah, that's correct.
So Apple's doing the same thing. They're saying, "Hey, you've got a Google device. We're not going to support you."
Yeah, and for that reason, I have always said, "Fuck Apple."
Yeah.
Proprietary hardware. banning people from using their own hardware, suing companies that allow you to install OS X on non-Apple hardware. Yeah, I've always said fuck them for doing that. That's horrible, anti-consumer profiteering. So yeah, I don't disagree with you at all.
I take it you don't like this. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest.
It's a corporate pissing.
I was shocked that Google allowed their product to be used on iPhones or Apple devices where it doesn't happen vice versa. You know, you can't have
because
an Apple
Google's
Watch.
products are supposed to be open. Google's products are supposed to work with anyone who wants to program it to work. So if I want to write my own app that interfaces with the APIs of the Android Watch, then I can. I can make it work through my Nintendo.
They're not stopping you from doing that.
Apple is. Apple stops you from doing.
Apple is. You're condemned to that life forever. Like, people can use and abuse you, and at no point can you say, "Okay, enough of this." If you guys,
if you're a corporation, yes, corporations should not be considered people. They don't have rights like people, and they can't take something away from you that you've bought from them. If I bought an Amazon Fire device and Google says we don't like them anymore.
You didn't buy it from them, though.
I'm paying licensing fee that Amazon is paying to Google. I'm part of the chain of money. The fact that Google is licensing things on a we can take it away basis to Amazon, and Amazon hasn't had issue with that before, is my big issue.
I'd say Amazon's entered that agreement.
Right, but they didn't disclose that agreement to us.
This is a good conversation to have, because this actually is more impactful when you start to think of it from a developer's perspective. Because in this world where there's so many of these microservices out there that people take advantage of within their application, and then these services can go away. You know, this is a good conversation to kind of talk about. Is, okay, what are the actual liabilities that can be taken on somebody who takes away a service that your application is dependent on, especially if it's an application you sell. You know,
Canada just ruled on this. Canada said that cell phone contracts cannot be unreadable. They have to be human readable. The person signing it has to be able to understand it. And cell phones cannot be charged a fee to unlock. The same thing should be true here.
That's not what we're talking about. I mean, so an example of what I'm talking about is we have a client that wants to do license plate recognition. And we've been doing a bunch of proof of concepts using things like Google services and Amazon's AI. And I had stumbled across a service that essentially did everything exactly the way we wanted it. It was perfect. I created a little microservice for them to upload a license plate to. We handed it off to this service. It would come back, give you the license plate, the letters and numbers, the state that license plate was, the color, make, and model of the car that it was on, all the information they were looking for. And immediately the client was like, "This is perfect. This is exactly what we want." And I was like, "Hold on, put the brakes on," because what you're talking about using this for is a core functionality of a product that you're trying to deliver to your clients. Before you make that investment, we need to have ironclad agreement in place with this company so that they don't disappear tomorrow and you're left holding a bag of where you can't process these license plates anymore. Either we come up with a contingency, and once we have both solutions developed, then deploy, or you need to put in some legal words that say, "Hey, if you guys go away, we're going to sue you and you're going to pay us X amount of money." But
right. So, but the assumption there is that if this company sold you hardware that did the microservice and you installed the hardware in your workplace, then that you would forever have access to that information and that software. If I buy a Fire TV the assumption is that the things that are on it will continue to be available to me because I've purchased a hardware good with software installed on it, not that
this
software
happens all the
can be
time.
arbitrarily removed.
But
The
it
fact that
happens
it
all the time. I mean, in entire
not an
products,
excuse for the
entire
behavior.
products. Hold on, though. Hold on, Thomas. Entire products will lose support from an organization. Sony does it on a regular
Lose-
basis.
Lose
Google
support
does.
is one thing. Google, this is the second time Google has done this when they took a bunch of their Google Home devices and just turned them off, uploaded blank firmware, and bricked the device. And
I
people
don't
are
know
suing.
about that happening.
People are suing Google for that. Yeah, there was
the
home
one thing-
automation.
The one thing that they had turned off was on the Google Minis. I guess the screen that was touchable. That was that bug that they had where it, due to a flaw in a certain amount of the screens, the
This
mic
was
was always
Nest.
on.
This was related to Google's acquisition
I can't
of
speak
home
to-
automation software, and they
But okay,
took a
let's
legacy products
talk
and
about that. And you feel that was not their right. Like they have some sort of commitment to the people who bought these legacy apps to keep a service going, even if it's a service they don't want to support.
not necessarily to maintain, but to at least, I mean, fucking CompuServe just shut down. AOL Instant Messenger just shut down. It doesn't cost a lot of money to support a couple people with a legacy device.
I'm not talking about a couple of people, though. I mean, you're not talking about a couple of people.
No, you're not. You're talking about, let's say, 10 million. It doesn't cost a lot of money to Google to support 10 million legacy users that speak to their device maybe 10 times a day total. To me, this is...
I don't know. I mean, the way I feel about it, I think it's a crappy move on Google's part. But again, I think Amazon's kind of made their own bet on this. They have not played well with Google. They've been very kind of take. And I think Google's finally said, okay, well, then we're not going to make any effort to give you this stuff. And I don't know. It's a tough call for me.
It's not at all for me. Jeff Bezos is worth $90 billion. I don't fucking care about Amazon or Google when there's a person who's made $90 billion off of their... This is capitalism run amok when Google decides to screw the customers because Amazon isn't giving them a fair shake on their hardware.
But they're still a business. I mean, they're still in business to make money.
Sure, they have to do this. I think it's immoral, which if we're going to call companies people, you have to be able to say what they're doing is immoral as well as profiteering.
But yes, I have a hard stop at 11:30, so we need to push through. And I think 11:30 is going to be taking us a little long anyway. So
hey guys, I just made up a hard stop at 11:30.
No, I've already shared with you.
I have a hard stop at 11:15.
I've already shared with you.
I know.
The wife is 11:15.
You got me soapboxing.
You've been soapboxing all show, man. So I'm
That's what he
pull your cards over. Let's go.
This is an old card.
These are actually relevant cards.
We've talked about PHP 7 adoption and how it's incredibly fast and how a lot of sites have quickly moved to PHP 7. I didn't realize that 90% of websites are still using PHP 5.
Let's clarify. That's any flavor of 5, 5.2, 3, 5.4, 5.5,
not making it better.
Yeah, all the bad flavors.
There's a big difference between 5.3 and 5.6.
And there's a big difference between all the websites. When you look at the fact that the Heaven's Gate website is still up, and it's been 25 years. Yeah, old stuff is still around, but I'm amazed at 90%.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think about half. I think about 50% of our servers are. No, that's not actually right. Yeah, no, we're probably still at about 90% of our clients and servers are at 5, at some version of 5. Yeah,
I have a PR out to one of the clients that can get them up to 7, but you have to touch core functionality for a lot of these legacy sites to get them 7 compatible.
Yeah, but that's what tests are for.
Okay, but when we're talking about legacy code, you don't have tests in place.
You have to make the tests as part of the PR.
Okay. Easier said than fucking done.
I know. I don't like tests.
The sites are already out there. That's why they're called legacy. It's so
I'm saying, as educators, we're supposed to tell people the proper way to do things, and then don't tell them the way that we do things.
Well, no, we do things properly nowadays, but
yeah, we do.
But going back a few years, that's not the same case.
Well,
so 90% of the
I'm not surprised.
Some version of 5.
I'm not surprised. Yes,
I'm a little surprised. I think that's higher than I expected, but not. I would have thought more like a 70%. Yeah, because there was such a crazy push. Yeah. Okay.
Nah.
But there's so much money to save in processing power. It's so much faster.
You could use that extra processing power to mine Bitcoins.
Exactly.
And
Plus
again,
coins.
Thomas is it's more than just upgrading PHP, because a lot of these shops don't have dedicated ops people, and the default packages are still on PHP 5.6 or whatever that OS package is. So there's an effort involved in upgrading these things and keeping them current. It's
I know.
Definitely one of those things that's easier said than done.
I like that a lot of the third-party packages to compose are such as PHP Unit, and those are pushing people to move to 7.
To me, that's really important. The fact that Symfony 4 requires 7.1.
Laravel 5.5.
Symfony 4?
Right?
What is this about Symfony 4?
Symfony 4? Yes.
I haven't used it yet. Has anyone?
Well, it's just recently out. Not a whole lot of people have used it. But I've always said that, you're either continuing to evolve or you're dying off as a developer, right? And where I've a huge framework junkie, have always been touted Cake PHP for years. Went over to the Laravel side, been rocking Laravel for a couple years now, but I've always kind of had my eye on the horizon on what the next framework I wanted to tackle was. And for me, Symfony makes a lot of sense. I mean, I love the fact that some of these frameworks have modernized, even Cake, even these older frameworks. But Symfony is hands down one of the leaders in the industry. Short of Zen, who actually, are owners of the industry.
Owns the industry.
John and I were having a conversation recently about the Laravel certification program, and if we felt it made sense to invest in it, to get certified, maybe get some developers certified or not. And we've gone back and forth on the real value of certification and whether it's good or bad, but the fact is, it doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt to have a certification. And what I shared with John is, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, again, a certification is a certification. But as far as having more of an appreciation for the industry, the Symfony certifications always made a lot more sense to me. And then, of course, Zen has certifications as well. But this is neither here nor there. Symfony 4 is released, and I think this is the one. So I've already installed it. I've already started playing with it. I'm already starting to like the way it feels. It is different than Laravel. I realized I told you guys before, when I tried to fire up a Cake PHP 3 applications, I realized how dependent I had gotten on Laravel and the Laravel workflow. And I felt that again with Symfony, but that barrier wasn't nearly as big. Liking Symfony, I'm really liking Symfony. I haven't done anything with it yet. I haven't actually made an application. I haven't really had to solve problems with it. What I need to do is try to build either an existing application or a new application with it, and see where the pain points are. But it is weird. There's a lot of, you have to include a lot of things that you wouldn't think you needed to include, including things like I'm trying to remember. I don't even think that like the database interface was included by default. But no,
Well, yeah,
doesn't seem right.
It
One
gives
of the
you
big
an
things about one of the big things about 4 is that it starts as a microservice, so it starts with the like bare minimum.
yeah, and you can choose. I think somebody told me today you can choose Eloquent or Doctrine as your database layer. So it doesn't include any of that. You have to choose what you want to do. But you're also it's basically giving you the opportunity to build the framework you want versus getting everything.
Right. If you don't use queuing, then it doesn't include queuing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big complaints about Symfony 3 was how bloated it had become. It became such a big project that it was starting to slow it down. And 4, I think, directly addresses that.
Now, I was having this conversation with somebody today. Is Silex still the micro framework though, or did somebody mentioned that might have been retired? Do we know? No, it's still, website's still here. Silex. Who's behind? Yeah, no. I mean, the website's still up. I don't know. I'm not aware of any of Silex going away as a project.
But I think it's deprecated.
You think it's going to happen with? You think it's with this because they have the Flex now, the Symfony Flex?
Yeah, because Silex is 2.0, and I know it's not going to get updated to the 4.0 platform.
Interesting. So yeah, I don't know the fate of Silex. I'm trying to. I don't know what the fate of Silex is, but it's still. I mean, it's open source, so if somebody really wants it to keep going on, it'll keep going on. But let's see. I mean, still getting contributed to. Not a whole lot, but as recently as 4 months ago on some tests, a month ago. I don't know.
Apparently, at Symphony Con, somebody had announced that end of life was next year for Silex.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it.
GB Techie on Twitter.
You want to know what I'm excited about?
What are you excited about?
We went through a lot of non-PHP stuff, but we're ending on PHP. Talking about Symfony.
Fact that
yeah, we gotta bookend it.
There you go. We're ending on a high note. We usually end on a low note on doom and gloom, but we're ending on a high note. I love it.
No, I slid the doom and gloom in there very sneakily.
No, it wasn't sneaky.
That was a sneaky.
Pretty obvious.
Misusing that word completely.
But we didn't have to draw attention to it because it was so obvious. But we're ending on PHP, which is so unusual for us.
Have you noticed how many times John mentions the word ending? We're ending.
Ending.
It's over. The show's over. We're done. We talked about PHP.
We have a hard stop. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do?
Sometimes it's just hard to stop, John. We enjoy this so much. All right.
That's a strong we. That's a very strong we.
All right. Episode 86 is in the bag. I'm Eric Van Johnson.
I'm John Congdon.
I'm Maxwell Smart.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
I'm sorry. I just